The Fire Within podcast. You need a sustainable plan, the right mindset, and the knowledge and inspiration to stoke the fire within. Just like the phoenix, you can burn your old habits, never turn back, and emerge completely anew. There are no shortcuts. The views and opinions expressed on this show are not meant to be used as medical advice. Consult your doctor before implementing any health or exercise changes. The Fire Within encourages you to do your own research and aims to spark interest and motivation to a healthier lifestyle.
Welcome, Fire Within Nation. This is the Fire Within podcast where we talk about all things health, nutrition, and fitness related. I'm your host, Brandon, with my co-host, Joe.
Hey, Brandon, I see you're wearing something kind of crazy there today.
I am. I have these alligator clips on my ears, sending some kind of signal to my brain.
That's what we're going to be talking about today. We got Patrick in studio. Welcome, Patrick.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Pat is a representative for a company called Alpha-Stim, and we alluded to this on our last episode. I'm super excited to talk about this.
If you're looking it up, it's Alpha-Stim, S-T-I-M.
Correct. Alpha-Stim, alpha-stim.com.
Alpha-Stim.
Gotcha. So, Pat, tell us a little bit about yourself, Alpha-Stim, what's going on with my brain right now, and let's have some fun.
Yeah, Alpha-Stim's great. It's a product that's been around a long time. It's been FDA cleared for 23 years. I've been associated with Alpha-Stim myself for 4 years. I'm the rep in Eastern North Carolina. I cover Greensboro East. I also cover all the VAs except the one in Asheville. It's a life-changing product. We're FDA cleared to treat anxiety, insomnia, depression, and pain. And we use micro amperage electricity. So one question always comes up, is this like TENS? And for those people that might not know what TENS is transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation. And the answer is we both use electricity. That's about where it stops. A TENS device gets less effective over time. Your body adapts and it gets less and less effective. Alpha-Stim is different we have a unique waveform. We use 0.5 hertz. And the results are cumulative. So the more you use it, you get better and better and better the longer you use it.
Now, give us a comparison of what 0.5 hertz compares to. Let's say I touch a doorknob and get shocked. What is that?
You know what? I don't know the answer to that. So I will say that TENS uses significantly more electricity than so people always are concerned, about running electricity through the brain. Well, you can imagine how difficult it was to get FDA approval to be able to therapeutically do that. And
isn't it powered on electricity anyways?
It is.
Your brain or nervous system, right?
98% of what happens in your brain happens electrically, not chemically. A lot of people
Woogie.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that or realize that. GlaxoSmithKline partnered with Verily recently, which is formerly Google Life Sciences. When Alphabet got formed, they spun it off, became Verily. Those two came together to form a third company called Galvani Bioelectronics. And they jumped into the business. GSK is the 8th largest pharmaceutical company in the world. They got into the bioelectric business because they say in the press release that I carry with me that when dysfunction happens within the human body, it can be corrected. It's firing between organs and the nervous system, and it can be corrected using electricity. So they're getting in the game, and I just heard Pfizer's getting into bioelectronics.
Yeah. So this is way different than electrotherapy like in insane asylums and stuff like that back in the day, right? This is completely different.
Yeah, you're talking about ECT, electroconvulsive therapy, and that has to be done in a clinic, supervised. Alpha-Stim, the beauty here is that you own the device for life. It has a 5-year warranty, and patients treat themselves at home.
Yeah.
And so people always say, well, can I do it more than once a day? The answer is yes. You can't OD and you can't abuse it. And so
it treats very similar things that pills treat. So this is an alternative to taking. What kind of pills would this be an alternative to taking?
It's a good question, Joe. Real good question. So we've done multiple studies, but like some for anxiety, benzodiazepine, so Ativan, Xanax, things like that. We went up against them and we beat them. For sleep, you might take something like Ambien, Sinesta, or Lunesta. For depression, we went up against Wellbutrin and Zoloft, and for pain, we went up against Vicodin and Oxycontin. So those are some of the drugs, and there's more. I mean, like for things like migraine headaches, Imitrex is one of the drugs that we went up against, and we beat Imitrex also.
Now that's pretty amazing. So these are significant issues that I think I would go as far as say most Americans probably deal with at some point in their lifetime. Anxiety, all of us, holy crap, after all this COVID stuff, right?
Most of us deal with it and then have a hard time justifying whether or not to take pills for it.
Right,
because
exactly.
I think what you're saying is at any given point in somebody's span of their life, they're probably going to be dealing with anxiety.
One of these,
Right.
yeah, especially with COVID. I think we're all freaking dealing with anxiety right now. So this is a method to treat this stuff without, pharmaceutical drugs, basically.
Right.
So anxiety, that's huge. And even in the pain category, Vicodin and Oxycontin, some of the most dangerous side effects and addictions on the planet. So this is pretty significant.
Yes.
And I think
Yes,
every one of our listeners may benefit from this.
I tell everybody, if you have a bottle of Advil in your house, you should have an Alpha-Stim.
Because pain is neurological as well, which has to do with electricity, right?
It does. I mean, when you think about it, our hearts beat off electricity. The heartbeat is a depolarization of the heart muscle. Our brain's 98% of that is electricity. We have electrical meridians we're running throughout our body. We have electrons in all cells of our body.
Right.
We
We're
are
basically a battery.
We're electrical beings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
No
saw
doubt
the Matrix.
Now, when I was 4, I wanted to see what happened if I licked an electrical outlet. I'll never forget that feeling. Maybe that's what's wrong with me. But no, I legit licked an outlet.
Most people start with a 9-volt when they're 4, but you went
I
right
went
for
straight
it.
for it.
Yeah.
Was it 220?
110, yeah.
110?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just remember my tongue being completely numb and my face feeling really funny. And I'm lucky that's all that happened.
Yeah, 110 will get you. When I was a kid, my friend and I were running. It was late at night, and we were running for some reason. I think we were TPing somebody or something stupid. Or we're shooting cows with BB guns. I grew up in the country, and he ran through one of those single-strand 110 cow fences that just zap the cow if they get... And he pulled up the 2 stakes that it was pulled in, and it wrapped him up. And he was like, help me. And I was like, I ain't touching you, man.
Man. Is it true if you pee on the fence, you can get electrocuted?
I didn't try it, but I imagine it wouldn't be a good idea.
All right, back on topic. So it is using electricity to treat these things. Can you explain a little bit more about what's actually happening when we put this thing on?
Yes. So we're using ear clips on the lobes of the ears. And the reason for that is we're using the 8th cranial nerve of the brain. That's where that's the entry point. That's how we get the waveform into the brain. Once it gets in, it goes everywhere. Once it gets in the brain, it goes everywhere. And it increases the secretion of serotonin and acetylcholine.
Wow. And that's one of the reasons we take antidepressants, right? That's the whole thing we're trying to do. Only sometimes it's a synthetic form. So the Alpha-Stim is actually helping our body to do it on its own.
That is correct.
Wow. Okay, that's big. That's big.
Yeah. We had a PhD in psychiatry who just did a double-blind, placebo-controlled study in England for the NHS. His definition was, when someone said mechanism of action, he said, we don't really know. But what we do know is under fMRI that after 20 minutes of stimulation, the frontal, midline, and parietal regions of the brain become muted, or they become subdued from 20 minutes of stimulation.
Now, in layman's terms, what does that mean?
Well, it has a calming effect. So, we see Alpha-Stim used in a myriad of situations. And there's even a board-certified doctor in Charlotte, Templeton, I think is her name, who encourages this use for use with children that it might have, different dysfunctions.
Yeah. Now, way back on like episode 4, we had Dr. Lavelle on, and she said what separated functional medicine from regular medicine was Western medicine typically is just giving a drug or a synthetic form, where a functional doctor is trying to figure out what's the root of the problem and how can we get your body to do it on its own. And that's the premise of what I do and what this show is about. So I just really wanted to highlight that, and that's what Alpha-Stim is doing.
Yeah, and that community, when I can get in to see them, usually they're interested. They want to know more. They're interested. They're sending me patients, or they're writing scripts. Should mention that you do need a prescription. You can't just buy this over the counter. It has to, and the prescriptions could be written by an MD, a DO, a PA, an OT, a PT, a counselor, or a psychiatrist.
And then there's also a number you can call through Alpha-Stim, right? And they have somebody that can write that prescription.
Yeah, we do. Right, we've got that. We just started that service, as a matter of fact, and it's currently running in, I just was told yesterday, 45 states, where, they'll interview you for like 45 minutes to an hour over the phone for about $100.
Yeah.
I think it is, and they'll write the script for you. I actually have a provider here in my territory that does the same thing. I refer patients, and then she does a phone consultation with them, and she'll write the script based on that phone consultation.
Excellent.
So just to paint you listeners a picture, because you're not here, Brandon's wearing what looks like it's slightly smaller Sony Walkman, the tape deck kind from the 80s.
Yeah.
That's attached to a couple of clips that look like headphones from here that go up to his ears, and it's clipped on. And Pat wired him up about, I'd say, 11 to 13 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And so we'll see what happens in 20 minutes.
Yeah. Now, this is my second time when I had the Thai massage with Fernanda. She's who introduced me. And, what I noticed during that time was that it wasn't that I didn't have thoughts of things I had to do. It was that I could just notice them and not care.
That sounds like what took me about 4 months to learn how to do during meditation.
Exactly.
It's a lot like meditation, Joe. It really is. It's great that you brought that up. Yeah. So this is kind of helping people get in a meditative state.
So, Pat, I had a question. Is this being used in the military?
Yes, it is, because in that one study I made reference to, it was both military and civilians. And it's being used, I call it, some of the VAs, it's being used in multiple departments, neurology, TBI, which is traumatic brain injury department. The sleep labs use it because it helps with insomnia. We're in the women's clinic in Fayetteville. Home-based primary care uses it. So counseling, mental health, all of them are writing scripts for patients. I have yet to meet a veteran that doesn't have problems sleeping. And it kind of has to do with from their basic training on. They just don't get time to sleep 7 or 8 hours a night. And so they're always like, Pat, can you help me sleep? Can you help me get off some of the medications? And I said, I think we can. We'll try. But lots of success stories there. I mean, incredible success stories. And it's so rewarding. I was in clinic one day with two vets. One guy, he had been blown up 2 or 3 times in Helmand Province. He was a Marine, still is a Marine. And the other guy was a Vietnam vet. And they were sitting together talking and wearing Alpha-Stims, and they were saying, I never thought I could feel this good ever again.
Wow, yeah.
We tested this on 8,800 people, and there were 2 side effects. One side effect was out of 8,800 people, 9 people, so less than 1/10 of 1%, had slight self-limiting headaches when they took the ear clips off. It went away. And 7 people had some skin irritation from the conducting solution. We used a little bit of conducting solution because skin naturally has an impedance to electricity. Those were the only side effects that we've ever recorded.
Out of 8,800?
Out of 8,800 people.
Okay.
So what do people describe as the benefits or what it feels like, or what do you expect from treatment?
So it's a good question. What it does is it creates maybe a little bit of euphoria. It calms people down. And, many of the doctors I'm following say that the most important thing for all of us is sleep. If you're not getting, a good 7-8 hours a night, that's when the body repairs. And so anything that will help you sleep is really, really good for us. And most everybody over the age of 50 is having some type of difficulty with sleep.
You said it released serotonin in your brain.
Yeah, it increases secretion of serotonin and acetylcholine. And those result in a feeling of well-being.
Wow. Okay. Can we talk a little bit about maybe cost effectiveness of this approach versus other alternatives?
Like pharmaceuticals?
Right. Pharmaceuticals, other types of therapies and things like that.
Right. So we actually have a 5-year cost comparison against the top 4 medications in each one of those 4 categories of pain, anxiety, insomnia, and depression. And we're exponentially less expensive than some of the drugs. For instance, pain, we went up against Oxycontin, Imitrex, Topamax, and Lyrica, and we were way below all of them. And that's true in each one of these categories. And then other modes would be ECT, electroconvulsive therapy. TMS is transcranial magnetic stimulation. Interesting product. They've got labs around town. And to do that, you have to sit in a dentist chair between 17 and 34 minutes every day, 5 days a week for 6 weeks. And they roll this device over to your head, and it's loud. It sounds like an MRI.
Oh, yeah.
Because when the lab I was in, I said, you're putting that next to people's ears.
Yeah.
I said, it's really loud. I mean, it's really loud.
Yeah.
And they said, we're working on that. The other thing that people should know is that costs at least $15,000.
Wow.
Now, insurance does pay for it, but most of us know that probably have a $6,000 or $7,000 deductible that you got to fill first.
Right. Most plans.
Yeah, most plans are.
What does a unit cost?
Good question. We have 2 units. The aid is just ear clips. You cannot change frequency. It doesn't have the probes or the trodes. The probes look like pens. The trodes are like gel electrodes. That one's $795. The M, which is the one that treats pain. So the aid treats anxiety, insomnia, depression. The M treats anxiety, insomnia, depression, and pain. And it runs $1195. And we do have financing options. You can use PayPal, which is same as 6 months. And then we just picked up a company that'll do financing also.
Yeah, and I think most people have paid more financing to redo their living room or something. So this is talking about wellness, quality of life. I think that's well worth it.
One of the things
Now-
I find interesting is you said that there's no side effects, and that's a big risk if you're taking Oxy or something over a long period of time. I know
Right.
a lot of people, they get that prescription after a surgery or some kind of procedure, and they work really hard to not take the whole bottle, because it's a habit-forming substance.
For effectiveness, what's the recommended usage of Alpha-Stim?
Good question. So it's 20 minutes. If you get to 2.5 on the intensity, 20 minutes is a full complete dose. If you get to 2, and that range runs between 0 and 6. So if you get to 2.5, 20 minutes is a dose. If you get to 2, 40 minutes for a complete dose. Less than 2, it takes an hour.
And those numbers, the 2, 2.5, you're talking about the intensity of the hertz, is that right?
Intensity of the signal, right,
Of
of
the
the
signal?
waveform going through your brain.
And they could adjust that to their comfort level.
Right. We always tell people when you start to feel like you're a little bit, some people call it, we call it getting on the boat. Some people say a little nauseous or a little dizzy. Then we say turn it down. We don't want you to feel that way. Once they turn it down and that feeling goes away, then that's their level. And everybody's different. I've seen people, go. Worked with a Special Forces Green Beret guy one day, and I got to 1.5, and he said turn it down.
Yeah.
And I've seen women go to 5 or 6.
Well, they birth children. So
Right. Says something.
yeah, if I have an uncomfortable bowel movement, I'm tapping out. So now, can we go back to the Alpha-Stim pain management, the M1?
Yeah.
What is happening that it can treat pain? What's the science behind that?
So the gentleman that invented this, Dr. Kirsch, he has a PhD in biophysics. He studied acupuncture. So what we're doing is using many of the same techniques as acupuncture, but we're non-invasive, and we're using these probes that look like the pens, and we're accessing similar points in the body, and we're just running a current from one probe to the other probe, between contacts.
Oh, using the body as a conductor, essentially.
Run it and use the body as a conductor.
Okay,
yes.
so let's say your knee was hurting. You would put a probe maybe on near the top of the kneecap and another one maybe behind, and it would run the current or whatever, I don't know the proper terminology, from one through the affected area to the other pen.
That's exactly correct.
Okay.
So you have a protocol. So what we call is that you do a big X through the area first, and so the device is programmed. You do these in 10-second increments, each one of the positions. But you do a big X, and then you come in tighter and do a star right on top of the pain. If we were doing knees, and then you do the same thing on the opposite knee, and people will say, no, there's nothing wrong with that knee, and I'm like, we're connecting things in the brain. So we'll do a big X, and then we do that star configuration: 6 and 12, 9 and 3, 8 and 2, 10 and 4. And then we connect both sides. Dr. Kirsch said this is one of the most important steps, where we run on both knees. We're going to run the probes, two positions on the outside of the knee, one right below the patella or the kneecap, and then 2 on the inside. That connects both sides. And then lastly, you would do the ear clips, because all pain is processed in the brain. So,
Right.
People often say to me, well, it's my ankle that hurts. And I'm like, that pain's being processed in your brain.
Right.
So if you don't treat the brain, you're not really treating the whole pain problem. That's what makes us unique. And a lot of the other companies that are out there, and there's some really good ones. I think H-Wave's a great one, and that do a really good job, but they're contraindicated. They can't go above the neck. TENS is contraindicated. That means you can't use that above the neck. So, and that's true of most of the other products on the market. The unique thing for Alpha-Stim is that we're clear to treat the brain.
Now, the Alpha-Stim M, is that same 0.5 hertz? What's going on with that?
So yes, it's at 0.5, and that's, you stay at that setting 98% of the time. We have 2 other settings. One's 1.5. That would be for somebody that fails what we call CES. CES is cranial electrostimulation, cranial electrostimulation. There's MET, microcurrent electrotherapy. So we MET on the body, CES on the brain. 1.5 for somebody that fails at 0.5. After 6 weeks, they could try 1.5. We're using a little bit of a more juice, if you will, but it changes the waveform, and so you got more spikes in the waveform. And what that means is that the spikes are to break the skin impedance.
So has this been tested with fibromyalgia?
We treat the anxiety and some of the pain that goes along with that condition. I can tell you that we've got 110 clinical papers on our website. We like to say that our research is so good, our competition uses it. All of the papers are available for download for free. So you can go and search our bibliography. It's categorized by the indication. And we do have, I think there's 3 or 4 papers on fibromyalgia. So you can go there and download them and read and see what happened during that study. We did do a study recently at MD Anderson. It was a preliminary study, and they did it for the treatment of the management of depression, sleep deprivation, anxiety, and pain in advanced cancer patients. MD Anderson, for those people that don't know, is the #1 cancer hospital in the world. It's the largest in Houston, Texas. Some people say Sloan Kettering. Okay, whatever. We won't get into that argument, but it's a prestigious institution. They tested it on advanced cancer patients. The results were 93% satisfaction scores. They said it was valid in all 4 modalities, and the paper was published in the Journal of Pain and Symptom Management. So it gained us credibility in the marketplace and with doctors. When I show them that abstract, if I don't capture their attention pretty quickly then I know that I'm up against a pretty difficult situation. I might not be able to capture their attention and get their interest in the product.
So if you're a cynical person like me, you might be sitting there thinking like, all right, you're going to like put a little electricity in your body and it's supposed to make you feel better. And I was over here thinking that. And then I was thinking, like however long ago when they came out with pills, how ludicrous that must have sounded. Like swallow this thing and then your body's going to do all this stuff. It's science-based, but it's just so radically different than the traditional approach that most people have right now when they're like, oh, I've got pain. What should I do? I should take a pill. Is what most people think. And that's probably just we're conditioned that way. And I've seen more products like yours recently, which is a sign that there's probably the market as a whole is probably making progress. And I'm rooting for it because I'm thinking, man, if it's not habit forming and it's cheaper in the long run, this could be a really great thing for a lot of people.
And I should mention we sell it with a money-back guarantee. So I tell people all the time, if you go to your doctor, ask for a money-back guarantee.
Do you find that there's people that it works for them? Because, I mean, some people, like, I'll get a headache and I'll take an Advil and it'll do nothing, so I don't really take Advil. But for some people, that's like makes it go away right away. And so there must be some of that with treatments like this.
So nothing's 100%. We aren't either. We work about in the 90s with most people, 92%, 93%. We're in the 90 percentile, but it doesn't work for everybody. But if it doesn't work, if it doesn't do what we say it'll do, and in service, I meet people in their homes or wherever and teach them how to use it correctly to maximize benefits. If it doesn't do what we say it'll do, if you don't think it's working, we'll give you your money back after 30 days, minus a 10% restocking charge because you're going to use all the supplies in the device. So
honestly, I thought it was going to be more expensive than what you said it was going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was too. That's pretty reasonable. I've spent more on fitness equipment. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think there's some vacuums out there that cost more.
So you're getting close to 30 minutes in, Brandon. How's it feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I don't really care about anything.
I know when I ask people what you feel, patients, doctors, whatever, will say, feels like I've had a couple of cocktails. I had a girl tell me the other day, it feels like I've just had a margarita. It just takes that edge off or something.
I'm pretty sure I referenced having trouble with a bowel movement earlier, and I was totally cool with it. So I think
this is mostly a joke, but like you're not supposed to have a glass of wine and relax while you take your OxyContin. It's
but you could with Alpha-Stim.
That's a no-no.
And there would be
that's what I was kind of thinking.
Yeah. Now, there's all kinds of things you could do with your life. What made you decide to pursue working with Alpha-Stim and representing their company?
So I'm really against pharmaceuticals, and I think the less that we can take, the better. I actually, after I got involved with Alpha-Stim, I wore mine to a dental appointment where I had some serious dental work done. I wear it to the dental appointment, during the dental appointment, home from the dental appointment. And one case I was prescribed OxyContin, and I took one. I never took any more. The other one I was prescribed, and my wife got the prescription filled for Vicodin. They wouldn't even let me drive home. I was in the chair for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I never took any of the Vicodin. I just used Alpha-Stim to treat the pain and to be able to sleep that night. So if you are taking medication or if you're on some type of medication, it's going to make the medication more effective. So a lower dose might suffice. So we tell people, tell your doctors that are writing scripts for you that you're using Alpha-Stim. Some of them don't know what it is, and then I'll just let me know. I'll go see them, educate them, do an in-service. But we want them to know that this makes medication more effective.
Right. I would suspect, especially for, anxiety, depression, and pain management, particularly, which is the main reasons we typically take a medication, right? So what are some of your favorite applications or anecdotes with people that have used this product?
A veteran in Fayetteville had a severe migraine headache for like 3 days. And I heard she was what the story goes is she was trying to make an appointment, and a doctor overheard her and then told the scheduler, get her in the next morning. So they brought her back in, and she still had it. And they said, have you ever heard of Alpha-Stim? She said, no. And they said, are you willing to try it? She said, I'd try anything right now. So they put it on her, and in about 45 minutes, She said she could feel the headache move in different regions of her brain or inside her head. And she said it finally felt like it was on the back of her head, and she felt like she could peel it off and throw it on the floor. In 45 minutes, her headache was gone. This is a woman that had a migraine for 3 days. I just worked with another patient yesterday. She had a migraine for 7 days. When that stops for somebody, they're like willing to give you their house.
Yeah, I mean, they could be completely debilitating.
Yes.
So I've had some close people in my life. I mean, sometimes they have to be in a dark room. They can't hear sound. You can't communicate with them. They can't work. They can't drive. I mean, they could be pretty bad. Have you ever done any research on why it tends to happen to women more?
No, I don't know, but you're right. Migraines tend to be more prevalent in women's. I will tell you another story of a research study that was done at Walter Reed by Dr. Land, and he said he tested it on veterans and said that it increased attention, focus, and concentration while alleviating anxiety. Well, that would make us a perfect replacement for Adderall. So I think for college students listening out there, this is something you wear when you study. You can even wear it taking a test. And I've had people come back to me and say, wow, I had a doctor, a prosthodontist that I just saw recently for some bridge work. And he said, I see you're wearing the device today. He said, can I try it when we're done? And I said, yes. So he sat down in the chair and I stood up and I put it on him and he wore it. And I went back and did an in-service 3 or 4 days later to his entire office. And he told his office that he had unbelievable focus that day. He said where sometimes he does have a little bit of brain fog, during the day or whatever. He said he just felt incredibly clear-minded and he was able to focus at a level that he normally doesn't get to.
Wow. Hey, Joe, quick, ask me some math questions. Just fire them off.
632 divided by 2.
Oh, man. 316 and a half. How'd I do?
Well, other than that, you nailed it.
Oh, wow. Can you up my dosage here?
Most of the way.
Most of the way? 316. Yeah, I see. I see my mistake.
I could see, though, that if you're feeling better, being able to focus more. Because I know that, like, when I get stressed or anxious, first thing that goes out the window is my ability to focus on something.
Yeah. Yeah, or something's nagging you or something.
Mm-hmm.
So we have we're now learning that pro athletes and performers, people, because of HIPAA, I can't mention names, but are using the device. If I mention them, you'd recognize them. And they're using it because it helps them focus and it reduces anxiety. A lot of performers, believe it or not, have stage fright. I remember I saw Van Morrison. Van Morrison, supposedly somebody that's got incredible stage fright. And so they're using it. They're getting, they're made aware of Alpha-Stim. And so we've got, I think we're working on a couple of endorsements from some pretty high profile people.
And a couple episodes ago, we had a guy on who's roadie and flies all over the world doing the stage shows. And, I know it's tough for them. There's a lot of anxiety, depression, and high suicide rate in that industry. And I'm wondering if, on their planes crossing through time zones and things like that, this would probably be a good application for that type of lifestyle too, which is, I know it's not going on with COVID, but if it resumes, certainly could.
There's a new Apple TV show that's shorts, actually, that just came out called Greatness Code, where they're interviewing pro athletes. And a buddy of mine was one of the animators, which is why I watched it. And so he was all excited to see his name up on Apple TV, which was awesome. So I watched this morning, the one with LeBron James. The animation was awesome, but the story he was telling was every time he'd go to play in this one city, he was always up in his head because the fans were super loud and mean and rowdy. And then the previous game, something happened where there was just nothing. He's like, there was just nothing in my head. And he played the best game. And he was like, I wish I could bottle nothing and have that feeling before every game.
Wow, that'd be amazing.
Which is kind of what we were saying, right? To have that anxiety cleared out, you get, in his case, the best game that he said he had in his career.
Man.
Yeah, incredible focus. Another story, Dakota Meyer. A lot of people might know Dakota. He's a Marine in the United States Marine Corps. He was a recipient of the Congressional Medal of Honor. He received it for something that happened in Afghanistan. In 60 Minutes, did a special on him. So anybody out there in the military, if you want to see a military endorsement, he's done a video that's on YouTube. Just put in Dakota Meyer, Alpha-Stim, and he talks about how bad. He came back with really, really, really bad anxiety and went through 7 years of trying to solve it and tried self-medication with alcohol and drugs. And he talks about this. I'm not saying anything that's not in the public domain, but he talks about then getting turned on to Alpha-Stim and how much it helped him. He was interviewed also, for what it's worth, by Joe Rogan on Joe Rogan's show a while back, and he talked about using Alpha-Stim. I'm very grateful for all the men and women in the United States military and all the service that they provide us. And freedom's not free.
No, not at all.
I'm curious to know, how long a treatment path is. How long do people before they see results or feel results?
So some people will feel results after one treatment, especially with sleep. A lot of times, I'll tell people, I want to, text me the next day and tell me how you sleep, or I follow back up with them and say, hey, how'd you sleep? And some people are like, wow, I had the most incredible night's sleep I've had in 10 years. Other people, I worked with a gentleman in Greensboro a while back who had really bad insomnia. He got the Alpha-Stim for it, and he went 2 weeks, and he called me up and said, Pat, I got nothing. I got no improvement whatsoever. I'm going to send it back. And I was like, hang on. You still got, we still got, we're going to go 30 days on your guarantee. I said, so we changed his settings just a little bit. And I said, just keep using it, keep trying it. Because with some people, you have to do what's called a loading dose. That's a term that's known in the pharmaceutical industries. With this gentleman, it happened around day 19, day 20. He texted me and said, hey, it happened last night. I slept through the whole night, and I didn't even get up to go to the bathroom. He said, I am amazed. So some people notice it right away. Some people, it takes 3 or 4 weeks. We refer to it if it's comorbid. So if you're anxious and depressed, it takes longer. It takes 3 or 4 weeks for it to really kick in. So we tell people in the beginning, I want you to use it 7 days a week, at least once a day, 7 days a week. After that, you can go to a maintenance program where you're using it 2 or 3 times a week. Or in my case, when my wife says to me, have you used your Alpha-Stim lately? I think you need to use it.
If you're using it for sleep, what do you use it like right before sleep, hours before sleep?
Yeah, good question. We never want you in the beginning using it within 2 hours of going to bed, because we've got reports back of disruptive sleep or really vivid dreams. So I tell people in the beginning, they'll say, well, Pat, can I do it at 7 o'clock in the morning and it'll help me that night? The answer is yes, because the benefits last about 24 to 36 hours. So that's why we want them doing that. But in the beginning, stay 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed.
Now, with pain management, what types of pain? Like if somebody has a ACL, MCL tear or something, is there an application for Alpha-Stim with that? Is it just pain management? Is it healing? What is it doing?
It's pain management. So we'll help with, we treat chronic pain. It's used for, complex regional pain syndrome, which is a condition. So it'll used for, so individual pain or complex. Or,
so like people with
pain.
multiple back surgeries and things like that are just always going to have to deal with some of this inflammation down there. Maybe you can help with that.
Yeah, definitely. I've worked with or demoed to patients that have been in pain management clinics with patients that have had back surgery, whether it was a laminectomy or a spinal fusion. And that's the third frequency is 100. And the reason for 100 is we treat scars. If there's a scar tissue in the field of pain, we use 100 for that. We use the probes and we go right on top of the scar in 10-second increments, and then we come back and we railroad track it. And that's to break up the thickness of that tissue and get the electrical signal to move through that area. And then you switch back to 0.5, which is the therapeutic setting, and use that with the probes and the ear clips moving forward. So that's the reason for the 100 on the third frequency.
Now, does somebody who purchased this, how do they know how to do all this? Is there training?
So that's my responsibility, is to make sure that people know how to do it and support them through that process. We use things like this, and not everybody can see this. It's a protocol card where we show individual, it's animated steps showing do step 1, do step 2, do step 3, do step 4.
It looks like the terrifying airplane instructions on how to bail out of a crashing plane.
Right. So, and one side's for the probes, the other side is for the trodes. And so I meet with people, and recently haven't been able to do that with a lot of people. I met with a couple of patients this week on Zoom. They have an Alpha-Stim. I have an Alpha-Stim. I'm on Zoom, so we're video. I go over the card. I show them. I'm demonstrating things on myself. And, do this, place it here. And I make sure I go over settings with them first. So do things like that. So it's my responsibility. And I want, in my territory, my belief is I don't want anybody saying anything bad about Alpha-Stim. So if somebody's not happy, I'll do whatever I have to do so that they are happy. And if they're not happy and they want their money back, even if I got to pay them out of my own pocket, I'll do it, because I want everybody to be as excited and turned on about this product as I am. I mean, my mom is 97 years old in an assisted living facility, and she uses Alpha-Stim and says that it really helps with her anxiety, which she's experiencing some these days because she's sequestered, and she sleeps better. So, I've seen someone as old as that, and I've seen it used on, I think the youngest person I've ever seen it used on in my territory is 7.
Wow, okay.
Well, and kids, we want to make sure that when we ask them how you feel, that they tell us the truth, that they don't tell us what they think we want to hear. So so we don't go, I wouldn't go too much below that. So
okay, wow. So 7 to 97, that's a broad range.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Also, I think the same age requirements for checkers. I think.
Oh wow. Okay. Because under that, you may swallow one. I don't have the brain capacity to figure it out. So awesome.
So how do you feel now, Brandon? You feel any side effects?
No, not really. Nothing negative other than kind of pinching the earlobes. But
well, you're also wearing the headphones on top of it. That's
oh, that's better. It may actually be the headphones.
The headphones are probably just pinching the clips.
Yep. Troubleshooter. There it is. So, no, I feel good. Feel relaxed. Don't notice any pain. Normally, like my piriformis or the left side of my body is usually pretty angry when I sit, if I sit longer than 15 minutes. Does that mean I'm old? Like sitting hurts?
Yeah.
Does that make me officially
old? You're on the way.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'm on the way.
And did you make noises when you sit now?
Probably like, and when I get up, I go, ugh, and then I get out of the chair. So
I wonder how that would do like on long car trips for me, because I know I get my lower back hurts and stuff on a long car ride.
So we recommend that you not wear the ear clips, driving a car, operating machinery, do anything like that. But I have some of the same problems. So I'll put the trodes on my low back when I'm getting dressed in the morning. I bring the wires around, pull it out through my shirt, like right here in the front. And because often there's days where I drive 4 or 5 hours a day. So when I get in the car, I can plug into my Alpha-Stim. I can turn it on as long as I'm using it on my back there. And by the time I get to where I'm going and get out of the car,
I can see the
great.
Department of Motor Vehicles not wanting you to wire up your brain when you're driving around.
That's probably smart.
Yeah.
Now, everybody who purchases one of these units, do they get linked up with a representative like you?
Yes.
So every single one. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, there's a representative, because we got sales reps all over the.
Well, I really appreciate that, because sometimes there's like YouTube videos and things, but it's not your specific area or your specific problem. So a representative can, you can be like, hey, 3 inches above my wrist is aggravated, and you can show them the pattern and specific to them and answer their questions. I ask lots of questions. So I get really annoyed when I have to look up in a manual or something. I just want to talk to someone.
Right. We also have tech support at corporate. We've got that's staffed by registered nurses who have somewhere between 18, 20 years experience using Alpha-Stim that can answer a lot of questions in detail. We also have MDs there. We've got an MD, Dr. Haltwinger, who is there, can answer more detailed questions. I have to run things by him every so often. I got asked not long ago, can somebody who suffers from seizures use Alpha-Stim? And the answer was yes. It's safe and effective even for those people. And so it's, we've got support. And we also have, we've got some videos that we can provide. I've got a whole package of videos, one of them being the Dakota Meyer video. And along with, I just worked with Dr. Jennifer Byrne in Chapel Hill. She's the founder and owner of Cognitive Psychiatry. And I did a video with her, and she's referred, some patients to me. And she even told me at the last North Carolina Psychiatric Association meeting that she was very grateful for, what Alpha-Stim's been able to do and help with her patients. So,
awesome.
Yeah, it's very gratifying.
Yeah. As we get towards the end of the show here, some of the things we ask every single guest, if somebody is trying to transform their life, what are the top 3 things that you would tell them?
Number 1 is sleep. You got to get a good night's sleep. I'd say the other 2 would be exercise and nutrition.
Keeping it simple.
Keeping it simple. And Alpha-Stim could certainly help with the sleep portion. I'd be interested to know, I don't know if they've done any studies, if there's any connection with motivation between using Alpha-Stim. Can that help people motivate them to accomplish their goals and stick to it? Maybe if it removes some of the barriers of pain management and things like that and poor sleep, I wonder if it could.
I think with the correlation there might be, if you can increase focus, concentration, and attention and eliminate anxiety at the same time, and so you do better on a test or whatever it is you're working on, I think that there's some motivation involved in that. When you're doing better at something that you're interested in doing better on, whether it's playing video games or running a podcast, the better you get at it. The more you practice, the better you get. And if you can do it with greater focus and greater attention, then I think you become more accomplished. The more accomplished you become, I think that's motivating in and of itself.
I'm just getting into woodworking, and probably be a good idea to put this on when I'm using the saw, and I'll keep all my fingers because I'll be more focused.
Just be careful of the cord. You got to be careful. Tuck it inside your shirt.
Yeah. Awesome. Joe, you got anything to add?
No, this was fascinating. I really appreciate you coming in and sharing this with us. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk with you some more. I will definitely at some point in the very near future be getting a unit. So good news for my clients. But thank you so much for stopping by. This I think this is extremely valuable, product that can help a lot of people.
Thank you. Very grateful for this opportunity. Really appreciate you guys and all the work you're doing to help get positive messages for health and wellness.
If somebody wanted to get in contact with you directly, how would they find you?
I'll give you a phone number. It's my cell number is 303-902-2160. And email would be P as in Papa, Boyle, BOYLE at EPII.com.
Awesome.
And the studies you mentioned are on
Alpha-Stim.com. And then just go to research. And when you get there, there's another button. You click on that button. It brings all 110 clinical papers.
I was also on there's a Facebook page for people telling about their experiences with it. That was pretty cool to read through.
I know some of you listeners, I've talked to you personally. I know some of you guys are having issues with chronic pain management, especially from particularly back surgeries. Check this out. You got nothing to lose. At least research it some. Feel free to reach out to Pat, and I hope it helps a lot of people.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in today. I hope you got a lot of value out of today's episode. If you did, go check us out at firewithinnf.com. You can subscribe to our newsletters and make sure you never miss an episode or any other content. Also, be sure to follow us on social media.